Get out of here, trash. This is a military installation, not a homeless shelter. Sergeant Trent Dawson stands at the entrance of Coronado Naval Base, rain hammering his uniform, his voice sharp enough to cut through the downpour. 3 other young soldiers flank him, their laughter mixing with the sound of water hitting concrete. The woman sitting against the wall does not move. She looks like something the storm dragged in. Torn jacket hanging off one shoulder, hair matted, plastered to her face. A small collection of belongings packed into a battered duffel bag beside her, including a dented tin can with a few coins inside. Dawson steps closer, his boots splashing through puddles. "Hey, I'm talking to you." Still nothing. The woman keeps her head down, one hand resting on her left forearm, covering something beneath the sleeve. "Are you deaf or just stupid?" Private First Class Marcus Webb calls out from behind Dawson, earning snickers from the others. Maybe she doesn't speak English. "She speaks fine," Dawson says, circling her like a predator sizing up wounded prey. "I've seen her around for 2 weeks now, lurking, watching, probably casing the base for her junkie friends." The woman's breathing is measured, controlled. 4 counts in, 4 counts hold, 4 counts out. A rhythm that seems almost mechanical, completely at odds with someone who should be cold, wet, and desperate. Corporal Elijah Vance crouches down, getting in her face. "You know what we do to vagrants who don't listen? We call the cops. Let them sort you out." "Nah," Dawson says, a cruel smile spreading across his face. "Cops are too nice. Let's just encourage her to find somewhere else to sleep." He walks over to the tin can, looks at the pitiful collection of coins inside, draws his foot back and kicks it hard, sending the can spinning across the wet concrete, coins scattering into puddles and storm drains. The other soldiers laugh. The woman still does not move. But something changes, subtle, almost imperceptible. Her hand on the duffel bag shifts, gripping the strap with a precision that seems automatic. Her fingers wrap around the fabric at exactly the right angle, the same way someone would secure tactical gear in a combat zone. 20 feet away, a figure stops mid-stride. Chief Petty Officer Ryland Shore has served 18 years in the Navy, 12 of them as a SEAL. He has seen combat in 4 different theaters. He has buried friends. He has learned to read people the way most people read books. And right now, every instinct he has is screaming that something about this scene is very, very wrong. It is not the woman's stillness. Plenty of homeless people learn to stay quiet when confronted. It is not even the measured breathing, though that alone is unusual. It is the way she is sitting, back flat against the wall, shoulders squared despite the hunched posture, eyes that appear downcast but are actually tracking the reflection in a puddle, monitoring all 4 soldiers simultaneously. And her position, he realizes. She has placed herself at the corner where 2 walls meet. No one can approach from behind. Clear sightlines to both exits. That is not how a homeless person sits. That is how an operator sits. Shore moves closer, ignoring the rain soaking through his uniform. Dawson notices him approaching and straightens slightly. "Chief, just handling a trespasser." "I can see that." Shore's voice is neutral, but his eyes are fixed on the woman. She looks up for the first time. Their gazes meet, and Shore feels something cold settle in his chest. Those are not the eyes of a vagrant. Those are not even the eyes of someone who has given up. Those are the eyes of someone who is waiting, patient, calculating, the same eyes he has seen in debriefing rooms after black operations. The woman's sleeve shifts slightly as she adjusts her arm, just a fraction of an inch, just enough for Shore to catch a glimpse of something on her skin. 3 diagonal lines, silver gray, stark against her forearm. No unit designation, no numbers, no motto, just 3 lines. Shore's blood runs cold. He knows that mark. He has seen it exactly once before, in a classified briefing that technically never happened, about a unit that technically never existed. Task Force Wraith, codenamed Operation Black Rafter. The entire unit was declared killed in action 6 years ago. Every single member. The files were sealed. The families were given closed caskets. The mission was buried so deep that even mentioning it could end a career, but that mark exists on this woman's arm. The woman sees his recognition. Her eyes sharpen. Almost imperceptibly, she shakes her head. "Don't say anything," she whispers, so quiet that only Shore can hear. Dawson is still talking, still posturing. Anyway, Chief, we were just encouraging this vagrant to relocate. Nothing for you to worry about. Shore forces himself to look away from the woman. Where exactly do you suggest she relocate to, Sergeant? It's a hurricane out here. Not my problem, Dawson shrugs. My problem is base security, and she's a security risk. She's sitting against a wall in the rain. Today she's sitting, tomorrow she's cutting through fences. Dawson's voice drops. I know the type, Chief. They scope places out. They wait for opportunities, and then they strike. The irony is so thick that Shore almost chokes on it. Because if he is right about what that mark means, then Dawson is currently threatening someone who could neutralize every person in this circle before any of them could draw a breath. Sergeant, Shore says carefully, maybe we should let the MPs handle this, properly. MPs are busy, and I'm handling it. Dawson turns back to the woman. Last chance, get up and walk away, or I start making calls. The woman rises slowly, every movement deliberate, controlled. The duffel bag comes up with her, strapped secured across her body in a way that keeps her hands free. She does not speak, does not argue, just starts walking toward the gate, away from the base. That's right, Webb calls after her. Keep walking, and don't come back. Dawson watches her go, satisfaction plain on his face. See, Chief, that's how you handle problems. Direct, efficient. Shore says nothing. His eyes follow the woman until she disappears around a corner, swallowed by the rain and the darkness. 3 lines, silver gray, impossible. Because everyone from Black Rafter is dead. Everyone. If you're wondering who this woman really is and why a veteran SEAL just went pale at the sight of a homeless person's arm, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications, because what happens next will change everything you think you know about this story. The rain continues to fall. Shore excuses himself from Dawson's group and moves through the base with purpose, his mind racing through possibilities. A stolen mark, a copycat, a coincidence. None of those explanations fit. The mark of Task Force Wraith was never photographed, never documented in any accessible file. The only way someone could replicate it is if they had seen it in person. And the only people who had seen it in person were either dead or so deep in the intelligence community that they would never speak of it, which leaves one impossible option: a survivor. Shore finds the woman 20 minutes later, sheltering beneath an overpass 2 blocks from the base perimeter. She is wringing water from her jacket, her movements efficient despite the shaking of her hands. Cold, he realizes. She is genuinely cold. Despite whatever training she has, she is still human, still subject to hypothermia and exhaustion. He approaches slowly, making sure his footsteps are audible, giving her every opportunity to see him coming. She does not run. I know what that mark means, Shore says, stopping 10 feet away. I know what unit it represents. The woman does not look up. Then you know why you should walk away. Everyone from Black Rafter died 6 years ago. Pentagon confirmed it. Closed caskets. Memorial service. Memorial services can be arranged. Shore takes another step closer. Who are you? For a long moment, the woman is silent. The rain drums on the concrete above them, a steady rhythm that fills the space between words. Then she turns. Her face is gaunt, hollowed by weeks, maybe months, of insufficient food and sleep. But beneath the exhaustion, Shore can see the architecture of someone who was once something more. The bone structure of discipline, the posture of command. My name is Mara Kale, she says quietly. 6 years ago, I was a lieutenant commander attached to Task Force Wraith, codenamed Ashwind. Shore's breath catches. Ashwind. He knows that call sign. Everyone in Special Operations knows that call sign, even if they pretend they do not. Ashwind was a ghost story, a legend. The officer who supposedly led a counterterrorism unit so classified that even acknowledging its existence was a court-martial offense. Ashwind is dead, Shore says. Confirmed KIA along with the rest of Wraith team. And yet here I am. How? Mara's eyes are distant, seeing something far beyond this underpass, this rain, this moment. Someone wanted us dead, someone with enough access to know our exact position, our exact timing, our exact extraction route. We walked into an ambush that should have been impossible. She pauses. I was the only one who walked out. Shore processes this. His SEAL training kicks in, analyzing the information, looking for inconsistencies, for tells that might indicate deception. He finds none. If you survived, he says slowly, why hide? Why not come forward? Because the person who betrayed us is still active, still in uniform, still protected by the same system that sent us to die. Mara's voice hardens. I've spent 6 years gathering evidence, 6 years building a case, and I've spent the last 3 weeks here, watching, because the trail led me to this base. Who? Shore demands. Who betrayed your unit? Before Mara can answer, headlights sweep across the underpass. A military vehicle pulls up to the curb. The doors open. 4 military police officers step out, their hands on their sidearms. And behind them, emerging from a staff car with the casual confidence of someone who owns every room they enter, is Lieutenant Colonel Vaughn Mercer. He is 42 years old, silver at the temples, uniform pressed despite the weather, the kind of officer who appears on recruitment posters, all square jaw and commanding presence. He is also, Shore notices, looking directly at Mara, not with surprise, with recognition. Chief Petty Officer Shore, Mercer says smoothly, striding toward them. Odd place for a conversation. Colonel. Shore snaps to attention out of habit, but his mind is spinning. How did Mercer know they were here? How did he respond so quickly? I received reports of a vagrant causing disturbances near the base perimeter. Mercer's eyes never leave Mara. I see the reports were accurate. Sir, this woman claims to be... I know exactly who she claims to be. Mercer cuts him off. And I'm here to tell you that she's a deserter, a mentally unstable former officer who abandoned her post and her country. Pentagon has a warrant for her arrest. Mara does not move, does not speak, but Shore sees her weight shift slightly onto the balls of her feet, ready. Sir, Shore says carefully, she has the black rafter mark. That unit is a fairy tale, Chief, a conspiracy theory spread by people who watch too many movies. Mercer's voice is dismissive. This woman probably saw the symbol somewhere online and tattooed it on herself to make her delusions more convincing. That's not possible. The mark was never... Are you questioning me, Chief? The question hangs in the air. Shore hesitates, because he knows what he saw. He knows what Black Rafter meant. But Mercer is a lieutenant colonel with 20 years of service and connections that reach all the way to Washington. No, sir, Shore says finally. I'm just concerned about proper procedure. Proper procedure is exactly what's happening. Mercer gestures to the MPs. Take her into custody. I'll handle the paperwork personally. The MPs move forward. Mara does not resist as they approach. Her eyes meet Shore's one final time, and he sees something there. Not defeat, not resignation. A message. Watch, learn, remember. Then the MPs are on either side of her, hands gripping her arms, leading her toward the vehicle. But Mercer is not finished. He steps close to Mara, close enough that his words are for her alone, or so he thinks. Shore has trained his hearing for years, learned to pick up conversations across crowded rooms. You should have stayed dead, Kale, Mercer whispers. Ghosts don't get second chances. And then he hits her. Not a slap, not a shove. A full punch, straight to the solar plexus, with the kind of precision that suggests practice. Mara doubles over. The MPs hold her up by the arms. Rain mixes with something on her face that might be tears, or might just be water. She does not make a sound. Let that be a reminder, Mercer says, loud enough now for everyone to hear, of what happens to traitors, to deserters, to people who think they can challenge the system and win. He turns to Shore. You saw nothing here, Chief. Understood? Shore's jaw tightens. Understood, sir. Good. Return to base, and forget you ever met this woman. The MPs load Mara into the vehicle. Mercer follows. Doors slam, engines start, headlights sweep away, and Ryland Shore stands alone in the rain, staring at the space where they disappeared. He saw nothing. That is the order, but orders, Shore decides, only apply when the person giving them deserves obedience. And something about Lieutenant Colonel Vaughn Mercer does not deserve anything at all. 3 hours pass. Shore spends them digging, not through official channels. Those are compromised. Anyone who knew Mara was here, anyone who responded that quickly, has eyes inside the system. Instead, he reaches out to old contacts, fellow SEALs who have retired into private security, intelligence analysts who owe him favors, ghosts in the machine who know how to find information that does not want to be found. The answers that come back are fragmented, incomplete, but they paint a picture. Task Force Wraith was real, Black Rafter was real. 15 operators, handpicked from Delta, SEALs, and CIA Special Activities. Their mission: counterterrorism operations in locations so sensitive that even acknowledging their existence could destabilize entire regions. For 4 years, they were the sharpest blade in America's arsenal. 63 successful operations, 0 casualties. Then, 6 years ago, they went dark. The official story: ambush by hostile forces during an extraction in an unnamed country. All hands lost. Bodies unrecoverable due to enemy activity. The unofficial story: something else. Shore finds fragments of it scattered across encrypted forums and buried intelligence reports. Rumors of a leak. Whispers that someone inside the American military sold Wraith's location to enemy forces. Accusations that were quickly silenced. Investigations that were shut down before they could begin. And at the center of it all, one name keeps appearing: Mercer, not as a suspect. As the officer who led the investigation that cleared everyone of wrongdoing. As the man who signed the documents declaring Wraith a casualty of enemy action rather than friendly betrayal. As the man who made sure the truth stayed buried. Shore stares at his screen for a long moment. Then he starts planning. Morning comes gray and wet. Officer Tessa Holt has been with the military police for 2 years. She joined because she believed in justice, in the system, in the idea that rules exist for a reason. That belief is currently being tested. She found the woman 2 hours ago, locked in a holding cell that Tessa did not even know existed, a cell that is not on any official roster, a cell that, according to the duty logs, contains no one. The woman looked worse than before, bruised, wet clothes still not changed, no food, no water, no blanket. Tessa brought her all 3. She did not ask permission. Now she is sitting across from the woman, the cell door open, watching her eat a protein bar with the careful efficiency of someone who has learned not to waste food. "I'm not supposed to be here," Tessa says quietly. "I know." The woman's voice is rough, damaged, but there is something beneath the surface that commands attention. "Why are you?" "Because I saw them bring you in." Tessa pauses. "And I saw the colonel hit you." No response. "That's assault. Even if you are what they say, a deserter, a threat, whatever, that's still assault. There are rules." The woman finishes the protein bar, folds the wrapper neatly, sets it aside. "There are rules," she agrees. "And then there are people who believe rules don't apply to them." Tessa leans forward. "Who are you, really?" For a long moment, silence fills the cell. Then the woman reaches into the pocket of her jacket. The guards did not search her properly. Perhaps they assumed a homeless woman had nothing worth finding. They assumed wrong. She pulls out a card. It looks like a standard military ID at first glance, but the material is different, heavier. The edge is reinforced with something that glints under the fluorescent light. Tessa takes it, studies it. The classification level printed on the card is higher than anything she has ever seen, higher than anything she knew existed. "My name is Mara Kael," the woman says, "and that card is keyed to my biometrics, my voice, and my retinal pattern. It cannot be forged. It cannot be copied. And it will verify that I am exactly who I say I am." Tessa stares at the card, then at Mara. "Why are you telling me this?" "Because I need someone inside the system who still believes in it." Mara's eyes are steady. "Colonel Mercer is not who he appears to be. He is connected to the deaths of 14 American operators, people who served this country with honor and were betrayed by someone they trusted." "You're saying he's a traitor?" "I'm saying I have evidence." Mara reaches into another pocket, pulls out a folded piece of paper, edges worn from being handled repeatedly. Locations, dates, account numbers, money that moved from foreign sources to domestic accounts, timed perfectly with intelligence leaks that cost American lives. Tessa unfolds the paper. The information is dense, coordinates, names, numbers, but at the bottom, circled in red pen, one name stands out: Mercer V. "This could be fabricated," Tessa says, but her voice lacks conviction. "It could be," Mara nods. "Or you could verify it, check the dates against operation reports, cross-reference the accounts, see for yourself whether a lieutenant colonel with a government salary suddenly started living beyond his means 6 years ago." Tessa looks at the paper, then at Mara, then at the paper again. "Why would he do it?" she asks finally. Why betray his own people? Money, power, protection. Mara's voice is bitter. The same reasons anyone betrays anything. Wraith was getting too close to something. We were uncovering a network, a pipeline of classified information flowing from Washington to hostile actors. Someone needed us gone before we could trace it to its source. And that source was Mercer? Mercer is part of it, but he's not the top. Mara's eyes harden. There's someone else, someone who calls themselves Ghost Trigger. I've spent 6 years trying to find them. The trail led here, to this base, to Mercer. Tessa's mind races. This is insane. A conspiracy theory wrapped in classified documents and impossible claims. And yet, she thinks about the Colonel's face when he looked at Mara, not the surprise of seeing an unknown vagrant, the recognition of seeing a threat he thought was neutralized. She thinks about the punch, the precision, the ease. She thinks about the cell that does not exist on any official roster. Even if this is true, Tessa says slowly, what can I do? I'm just an MP. I don't have the authority to investigate a colonel. You have access, Mara's voice is urgent. You can move through this base without raising suspicion. You can check logs, verify information, find the proof that I cannot get to from inside this cell. And if I get caught, then you'll end up like me, or worse. Mara does not sugarcoat it. But if you don't try, then Mercer wins, Ghost Trigger wins, and everyone who died for this country's secrets will have died for nothing. Tessa stands, paces the small cell, the weight of the decision pressing down on her. She joined the MPs because she believed in justice. This is what justice looks like, she realizes. Not clean, not easy, not safe. I'll look into it, she says finally, but I'm not promising anything. That's all I ask. Tessa moves toward the door, then pauses. What happens if I find something? If the evidence is real? Mara's eyes meet hers. Then we take down a traitor, together. The cell door closes behind Tessa. Mara allows herself one breath, one moment of something that might be hope. Then she schools her features back to neutrality and settles in to wait. Mercer thinks he has Mara trapped, but he doesn't know about Tessa. He doesn't know about Shore, and he definitely doesn't know what's coming next. Drop a comment below with your prediction. Will Tessa find the evidence in time, or will Mercer silence everyone who knows the truth? Tessa spends the next 4 hours doing exactly what Mara asked. She starts with the logs, duty rosters, access records, personnel movements, the kind of mundane documentation that no one pays attention to unless they are looking for something specific. She is looking for something specific, and she finds it. Colonel Mercer's official duties place him in administrative meetings and policy reviews. Standard command responsibilities, nothing unusual. But his access logs tell a different story. 3 visits to the classified data center in the past month alone. 2 entries to a secure communications facility that is supposed to be restricted to intelligence personnel only. And multiple accesses to archived files dating back exactly 6 years. Files related to a unit designation that Tessa has never seen before. Operation Black Rafter. She tries to access the files themselves. Denied. Clearance insufficient. But the access records are enough, because Mercer's clearance, according to his official file, should not grant him access to those archives either. Someone upgraded his permissions. Someone wants him reading files that should be permanently sealed. Tessa moves to the financial records next. Military pay is standardized. A lieutenant colonel with Mercer's time in service makes a predictable salary. Housing allowance, basic allowance for subsistence. Nothing fancy. But Mercer lives in a house that costs 3 times what his salary could support, drives a car that retails for nearly a year of his pay, takes vacations to destinations that most officers could only dream of. The numbers do not add up. Unless there is another source of income, Tessa cannot access bank records directly. That requires warrants, authorization, oversight, but she can access the base credit union's transaction logs for on-base purchases. Mercer's spending patterns are consistent with someone who has money to burn. It proves nothing by itself. Maybe he has family money, maybe he invested wisely, but combined with everything else, it forms a picture of a man living beyond his means, a picture of a traitor. Tessa saves what she can to a secure drive, backs up the backup, hides the evidence in 3 different locations. Then she goes to find Shore. The chief petty officer is in the equipment bay, running maintenance checks on diving gear. He looks up when Tessa enters, his eyes sharp and assessing. "Officer Holt, can I help you?" Tessa closes the door behind her, checks the room for cameras, finds one, positioned to cover the main work area. She moves to the corner, out of its view. Shore follows without being asked. "I know what you saw last night," Tessa says quietly. "At the underpass, with the woman." Shore's expression does not change. "I don't know what you're talking about." "You saw her arm, the mark, 3 lines?" A beat of silence. "Who told you about that?" "She did. I found her, in a cell that doesn't exist." Tessa pulls out the secure drive. "And I found this. Evidence that Colonel Mercer is connected to something very wrong." Shore takes the drive, studies it, then studies Tessa. "Why come to me?" "Because I saw your face when they took her. You didn't believe the Colonel's story. You know something's wrong." Tessa meets his eyes. "And because I can't do this alone. If I'm going to help her, I need someone who knows how to fight, who knows how to win." For a long moment, Shore is silent. Then he nods. "There's something you should know," he says. "I've been doing my own digging, and I found references to something called Ghost Trigger." Tessa stiffens. She mentioned that name, said Mercer answers to someone using that alias. "It's worse than that." Shore's voice drops. "Ghost Trigger isn't just an alias, it's a protocol, a code name for a network that's been selling American intelligence to foreign actors for over a decade. Every agency has tried to find them. Every investigation has hit dead ends." "And you think Mercer is part of this network?" "I think Mercer is how the network accesses military intelligence." Shore pauses. "I also think that if we're going to take him down, we need to move fast. He's already spooked. He knows that Mara survived, that she's been gathering evidence. If he figures out she has allies, he'll clean house. What do you suggest?" Shore glances at the door, then at Tessa, then at the secure drive in his hand. "We need to get Mara out of that cell, tonight. And then we need to find the evidence that connects Mercer to Ghost Trigger directly. How? I know someone who can help. A contact in naval intelligence who's been tracking this network for years. If we can get the evidence to them, if we can prove Mercer's involvement, they'll have the authority to act." Tessa nods slowly. "Okay, I can get access to Mara's cell. The guards change shifts at 10 p.m. There's a window." "Good. I'll coordinate the extraction." Shore's jaw tightens. "And Holt, be careful. If Mercer even suspects what we're doing, he won't hesitate to make us disappear." "I know." Tessa turns to leave. "Holt." She pauses. "Why are you doing this?" Shore asks. "You've got a career, a future. This could destroy everything." Tessa considers the question, thinks about the woman in the cell, the bruises, the quiet dignity, the eyes that have seen too much but refuse to give up. "Because someone has to," she says finally, "and because I believe her." She leaves. Shore watches her go. Then he pulls out his phone and starts making calls. 8 p.m. The base is quieting down. The rain has stopped, leaving everything slick and reflecting the harsh glow of security lights. In her cell, Mara is doing push-ups, not many. Her body is weakened by weeks of poor nutrition and exposure, but enough to keep the blood flowing, the muscles engaged, the mind sharp. She counts in her head, measures her breathing, uses the physical exertion to process everything that has happened, everything that might happen next. Tessa believed her, or at least believed enough to investigate. Shore saw the mark, understood its significance. 2 allies she did not expect to have, 2 people who might tip the balance. But Mercer knows she is here, knows she is alive. By now he has probably contacted whoever is above him, whoever runs the network, whoever gives the orders that turn American soldiers into corpses. Time is running out. She finishes her push-ups, sits against the wall, controls her breathing, waits. 9:30 p.m. Footsteps in the corridor. Mara tenses, ready for whatever comes next. The door opens. Tessa Holt stands in the doorway, a set of keys in one hand and a folded uniform in the other. "Change into this," she says quietly. "We have 30 minutes before the shift change." Mara takes the uniform. Does not ask questions. Starts changing with the efficient movements of someone who has done this 1,000 times before. Shore is waiting at the East Service entrance, Tessa continues. "He has a vehicle. We're getting you off the base." And then? Then we find the evidence, the real evidence, whatever connects Mercer to Ghost Trigger. Mara pulls on the jacket, buttons it. For the first time in weeks, she looks like something other than a vagrant. She looks like what she is, a soldier. There's something you should know, Mara says as they move toward the door. Ghost Trigger isn't just a code name, it's a person. Someone high up, someone protected. Do you know who? I have suspicions. Mara's voice is tight. But suspicions aren't evidence, and without evidence, we have nothing. They enter the corridor. Tessa leads the way, checking corners, monitoring sight lines. There might be something, she says, in the secure data center. Mercer has been accessing files he shouldn't be able to access, files about Black Rafter, about your unit. He's covering his tracks, or looking for something. Tessa pauses at an intersection. Checks, clear. Either way, those files might tell us who else is involved. They reach the East Service entrance. Shore is waiting by an unmarked utility vehicle, engine running. No trouble? He asks as they approach. Not yet, Tessa replies. Good. Get in. We need to move. They climb into the vehicle. Shore pulls out, headlights off, navigating by the dim glow of security lights and his own knowledge of the base's layout. Where are we going? Mara asks. My contact arranged a safe house. Off base. Secure. Shore's eyes stay on the road. We can regroup. Plan our next move. We don't have time to regroup. Mercer knows I'm here. He'll accelerate whatever he's planning. Which is why we need to be smart. Shore's voice is firm. Rushing in gets people killed. Believe me, I've learned that lesson the hard way. The vehicle exits through a maintenance gate. No guards, no cameras. Tessa relaxes slightly. Too soon. Headlights appear behind them. Then ahead. Then on both sides. Shore curses under his breath, hits the brakes. The vehicle skids to a stop as 4 military trucks block every escape route. Soldiers pour out. Weapons raised. Tactical formation. And at the center of it all, stepping forward with a satisfied smile, is Lieutenant Colonel Vaughn Mercer. Chief Petty Officer Shore, he says, his voice carrying across the night. Officer Holt, you both disappoint me. He walks closer. His eyes find Mara in the back seat. And you, Kyle, I thought I made it clear what happens to ghosts who don't stay dead. Nobody moves. Nobody speaks. The night holds its breath, and then everything falls apart. Shore moves first, not toward Mercer, toward the driver's side door. His hand hits the release, his body rolling into the darkness beyond the headlight's reach. Tessa is a half-second behind, dropping out the passenger door, using the vehicle as cover. Mara stays where she is, because she sees something the others do not. Movement in the trees beyond the road. Shadows that are not quite shadows. Figures that are not Mercer's men. Someone else is here. Someone is watching. Mercer notices her stillness, mistakes it for fear, steps closer to the vehicle, his smile widening. No friends coming to save you this time, KL. No extraction team, no cavalry. He leans down, bringing his face close to the window. Just me. And a very long conversation about exactly what you know and who you've told. Mara meets his eyes. You're right, she says quietly. No cavalry. She pauses. Just me. Her hand moves. 3 things happen in rapid succession. First, Shore breaks cover, sprinting toward the nearest truck. The soldiers turn toward him, momentarily distracted. Second, Tessa fires her sidearm into the air, once, twice. The crack of gunfire shatters the night, creating chaos. Third, Mara opens the vehicle door directly into Mercer's face. The impact catches him off guard. He staggers backward, hands rising to his nose. Blood flows between his fingers. Mara is out of the vehicle before he recovers. Her hand catches his wrist as he reaches for his sidearm. Twists. The gun falls. A hip turn sends him stumbling away, his balance completely compromised. She does not pursue, does not press the advantage. Instead, she runs. Not toward Shore or Tessa, toward the shadows, toward whoever is watching from the trees. Gunfire erupts behind her, shouts, the sound of engines starting. But Mara does not look back. She reaches the tree line, pushes through branches and undergrowth, and emerges into a small clearing where a single figure waits. The figure is dressed in black, face obscured, but the posture is familiar. Too familiar. You found my message, the figure says. A voice altered by technology, genderless, inhuman. Mara's hand finds a branch, grips it like a weapon. Ghost Trigger, she says. Smart girl. The figure tilts its head. Still smart after all these years. Why are you here? To offer you a choice. The figure takes a step closer. Come with me. Learn the truth about what happened to your unit. Or stay here, fight Mercer, and die when I decide you've become too troublesome. The truth is that you killed my team. The truth is more complicated than that. Another step. Much more complicated, and much more valuable. Mara's grip tightens on the branch. I don't make deals with traitors. Then you'll die with questions. The figure shrugs. Your choice. From behind them, the sounds of the confrontation are changing. More engines, more shouts, Mercer's reinforcements arriving. The figure turns to leave. Wait, Mara says. The figure pauses. If I come with you, if I listen to what you have to say, what guarantee do I have that you won't kill me? None. The figure's voice is flat. But then, you don't have many options left. Shore is captured by now. Holt too, probably. You're alone, exhausted, and outgunned. Coming with me is the only move that keeps you alive. Mara considers, thinks about Shore, about Tessa, about the evidence they gathered, about the mission that brought her here. No, she says finally. The figure stops. No, I'm not leaving them behind. Mara raises the branch. If you want me, you'll have to take me. For a long moment, nothing happens. Then the figure laughs. You haven't changed, Ashwind. Still putting others before yourself. Still making the noble choice even when it's the stupid one. The figure reaches up, removes the mask, and Mara's world tilts, because the face beneath the mask is one she knows, one she loved, one she thought died 6 years ago in the same ambush that took her team. Commander Roth Vale, her mentor, her partner, her everything. Standing in front of her, alive, wearing the face of a ghost. Hello, Mara, he says, his real voice cutting through the night. We have a lot to talk about. Mara cannot speak, cannot move, cannot process what she is seeing. Roth takes a step toward her. His eyes are different now, colder, harder, eyes that have seen things and done things that have carved away whatever softness he once possessed. I know you have questions, he says. I'll answer them, all of them, but not here, not now. He extends his hand. Come with me, please. The branch wavers in Mara's grip. Behind her, the sounds of combat are intensifying. Shouts becoming screams, engines roaring, gunfire staccato and sharp. She has seconds to decide. Trust the ghost of someone she loved, or fight alone against impossible odds. Mara looks at Roth's hand, looks at his eyes, makes her choice. The branch falls. She does not take his hand, but she follows when he turns and walks deeper into the shadows. Behind them, the night burns, and somewhere in the chaos, Shore and Tessa are fighting a battle they cannot win. A battle that Mara swore she would fight beside them. A battle she has just abandoned, for now. The darkness swallows her, and Mercer's voice, carried on the wind, promises that this is far from over. Find her. I don't care what it takes. Find Kyle and bring her to me alive. But Mara is already gone. Gone into the shadows. Gone with a ghost. Gone toward answers that have been waiting 6 years to be revealed. The maintenance shed smells of rust and old oil. Rain drums on the corrugated roof, masking the sounds of 3 people who should not be here. Mara sits in the corner, her borrowed uniform still damp. Tessa is bandaging a cut on Shore's forehead while he explains what he found. Ghost Trigger, Shore says, wincing as Tessa applies antiseptic. The name keeps appearing in every intelligence report I could access. A shadow, a rumor, someone at the center of a network that's been bleeding American secrets for over a decade. Mercer mentioned that name. Mara's voice is flat. When he hit me, he said Ghost Trigger would come for me. Then we need to find out who Ghost Trigger is before they find us. Tessa finishes the bandage, stands. There might be a way. The secure communications facility on the east side of the base. It has terminals connected to the old intelligence archives. If Ghost Trigger has been operating that long, there should be traces. Getting in won't be easy, Shore says. Getting in is my job. Mara rises. I spent 4 years accessing systems that officially don't exist. One base communications facility won't stop me. They move through the rain-soaked darkness, avoiding patrols and checkpoints. Tessa knows the schedules. Shore knows the blind spots. Mara knows how to become invisible. The facility is a squat concrete building with no windows and a single reinforced door. 2 guards stand outside, sheltered under an overhang. Tessa approaches them directly, shows her MP credentials, explains that she is conducting a routine security check following the evening's disturbances. The guards hesitate, But Tessa's uniform is genuine, her credentials valid. They let her pass. Inside, she disables the interior alarm, opens a service door. Mara and Shore slip through. The terminal room is cold and humming with the sound of servers. Rows of monitors glow in the darkness, each one a window into classified networks that span the globe. Mara sits at a terminal. Her fingers move across the keyboard with practiced efficiency. "I'm accessing the archived communications from 6 years ago," she says quietly. Cross-referencing with Operation Black Rafter. Data streams across the screen. Encrypted files, coded messages, the digital footprints of a conspiracy. And then she finds it, a folder buried deep in the archive, labeled simply Wraith Termination. Inside are messages, dozens of them, all bearing the same signature, Ghost Trigger. Mara reads the first one aloud, her voice barely above a whisper. "Asset positions confirmed. Extraction route compromised. Recommend immediate termination of all Wraith personnel. No survivors." Shore moves closer, reads over her shoulder. The messages continue. Coordinates, timing, the exact details of the ambush that killed her team. And at the bottom of the chain, a response from someone using Mercer's service number. "Acknowledged. Package will be delivered." Mara's hands tremble on the keyboard. "He knew," she says. "Mercer knew exactly what was going to happen. He helped plan it." "But he's not Ghost Trigger," Shore points to the screen. "Look at the communication pattern. Mercer receives instructions. He doesn't give them. Someone else is running this." Tessa leans in. "Can you trace the origin? Find out where Ghost Trigger's messages came from?" Mara tries. The encryption is military grade, layered with protocols she recognizes from her own training. But she also recognizes the architecture. "This is Wraith encryption," she says slowly. "The same system we use for internal communications. Whoever Ghost Trigger is, they had access to our protocols, our codes. Someone from inside the unit? Or someone who trained us?" Mara's jaw tightens. "Someone who knew everything about how we operated." She digs deeper, finds more messages, more evidence, and then a reference that makes her blood run cold. A personnel file attached to one of Ghost Trigger's communications, marked with a single name, Commander Roth Vale. "That's impossible," Mara breathes. "Roth died in the ambush. I saw the reports, the memorial. You also supposedly died in that ambush." Shore's voice is grim. "Maybe you weren't the only survivor." The implications crash over Mara like a wave. Roth, her commanding officer, her mentor, the man who taught her everything she knew about covert operations, the man she loved. If Roth is Ghost Trigger, she cannot finish the sentence, then he's the one who sold out your team. Shore's hand rests on her shoulder, and he's been operating in the shadows ever since. Mara stares at the screen, at the name that rewrites everything she thought she knew. "We need more evidence," she says finally. "We need to find him. Confirm this." "Where would he be?" Before Mara can answer, footsteps echo in the corridor outside. Lots of footsteps. "They found us," Tessa hisses. "We need to move." Mara downloads what she can to a portable drive, wipes the terminal. They exit through a ventilation shaft that Tessa identified during her security review. But when they emerge in the supply depot behind the facility, they find they are not alone. Mercer stands in the center of the depot, surrounded by armed soldiers. His face is calm, almost amused. "Lieutenant Commander Coyle," he says, drawing his sidearm, "you've caused me a great deal of trouble tonight." Shore and Tessa flank Mara, hands near their weapons but not drawing, not yet. "It's over, Mercer." Mara's voice is steady. "We have the communications, the evidence. NCIS is already being contacted." "NCIS," Mercer laughs. "You think I'm worried about NCIS? I have friends in every agency, KL. Friends who will make sure your evidence never sees the light of day." He steps closer, raises the gun, points it directly at Mara's head. "I've been wanting to do this for 6 years," he says softly. "Ever since you crawled out of that ambush like a cockroach. You should have died with the rest of your unit." "Why?" Mara does not flinch. "Why betray your own people?" "Because your people were getting too close." Mercer's smile is cold. Wraith was about to expose a network worth billions. Arms deals, intelligence trades, operations that keep the wheels of power turning. You were going to tear it all down for what? Principle? For duty. Duty, Mercer spits the word. Duty doesn't pay for beach houses. Duty doesn't buy influence. Duty gets you a folded flag and a headstone. His finger tightens on the trigger. Any last words, Cale? Mara meets his eyes. Just one question. Her voice is calm, deadly calm. Why do you think I let you catch me? Mercer hesitates, and Shore moves. The chief petty officer covers the distance in 3 strides. His hand catches Mercer's wrist, forcing the gun upward. A shot fires into the ceiling. Dust rains down. Tessa is right behind him, handcuffs out. She catches Mercer's other arm as he stumbles, wrenches it behind his back. Metal clicks around his wrists. The surrounding soldiers hesitate. Their commanding officer is on his knees. Their target is armed and ready. "Stand down," Mara orders. Her voice carries the authority of someone who has commanded men in combat. "Your colonel is under arrest for treason and conspiracy to commit murder. Anyone who interferes will share his fate." One by one, the soldiers lower their weapons. Mercer struggles against the cuffs, his face contorted with rage. "You think this changes anything?" he snarls. "Ghost Trigger will find you. Ghost Trigger will—" The lights go out. Every light in the depot, every light visible through the windows, the entire base plunged into darkness. And then the screens flicker on. Every monitor, every display, every device with a screen, all showing the same image. A figure in shadow, face obscured, voice distorted by technology. "Ashwind?" Mara freezes. "You've been busy tonight," the voice continues. "Gathering evidence, turning allies, capturing pawns." The figure leans forward. The distortion cannot hide the amusement in the voice. "But pawns are replaceable. Mercer was useful, but he was never important. The network continues with or without him." "Who are you?" Mara demands. "You already know." The figure pauses. "You found the files. You saw the name. You just don't want to believe it." Mara's heart pounds. "If you want the truth," the voice says, "come find me. Come to the place where it all began, where Wraith was born, where Wraith died." Coordinates appear on the screen. Numbers that Mara recognizes immediately. The island, the training facility where Task Force Wraith spent years preparing for missions. The place she called home before everything fell apart. "I'll be waiting, Ashwind. Don't disappoint me." The screens go dark. The lights return. And Mara stands motionless, the coordinates burning in her mind. Shore approaches cautiously. "Mara, what do you want to do?" She looks at Mercer, still kneeling on the floor, looks at the soldiers who have surrendered, looks at the evidence on the drive in her pocket. "Contact NCIS," she says. "Have them take Mercer into custody. Make sure the evidence reaches Agent Reeves. And you?" Mara's jaw sets. "I'm going to the island. Not alone." Shore's voice is firm. "Whatever's waiting there, you're not facing it without backup." Tessa nods. "He's right. We've come this far together." Mara considers arguing, considers ordering them to stay behind where it is safe, but she knows they will not listen, and she knows she needs them. "Fine," she says, "but understand what we're walking into. Ghost Trigger has been operating for years. They know we're coming. This could be a trap." "Probably is a trap," Shore agrees, "but traps work both ways." Mara has uncovered the identity of Ghost Trigger, but the real confrontation is just beginning. Share this video now so your friends can witness how this story ends. The boat cuts through the black water under a moonless sky. 3 passengers, Mara at the helm. Shore checking weapons. Tessa monitoring a tablet showing the island's layout. Thermal imaging shows heat signatures in the main compound, Tessa reports. At least one person, maybe more. Defensive positions? None visible. Either they're confident or they want us to come in. They want us to come in. Mara adjusts their heading. This isn't about defense, it's about revelation. The island emerges from the darkness. A jagged silhouette of trees and abandoned buildings. No lights, no movement, just waiting. They beach the boat on the eastern shore, the same shore where Mara landed hundreds of times during training exercises. The sand feels the same under her boots. The air smells the same, salt and pine and memories. But everything else is different. The path to the compound is overgrown. Vegetation has reclaimed what humans abandoned. The obstacle courses where she trained are rusted and collapsing. The shooting ranges are cratered and silent, and the main building, the heart of the facility, is a burned shell. Walls blackened by fire, roof partially collapsed, windows gaping like empty eye sockets. But inside, lights glow. Someone is home. They approach in tactical formation. Shore on point, Tessa covering the rear, Mara in the center, her focus absolute. The door hangs open. An invitation. Inside, the damage is worse. Scorch marks climb the walls. Bullet holes pockmark every surface, evidence of a battle that ended years ago, but never truly finished. At the center of the main room, surrounded by humming servers and glowing monitors, sits a figure, black clothing, face hidden behind a featureless mask, hands resting on the arms of a chair like a king awaiting supplicants. Ashwind, the distorted voice from the screens, now live and present. You came. Mara stops 10 feet away. Shore and Tessa fan out on either side. I came for answers. And you'll have them. The figure tilts its head. But first, let's dispense with the pretense. Hands rise to the mask. Remove it. And the face beneath destroys everything Mara thought she knew. Commander Roth Vale, older now, harder, lines carved by years of shadow work and moral compromise. But unmistakably him. The man who trained her, led her, loved her, the man she thought died 6 years ago. Hello, Mara, Roth says, his real voice cutting through the silence. It's been a long time. Mara cannot speak, cannot move. Her mind struggles to reconcile the ghost before her with the memories she has carried for 6 years. How, she finally manages, how are you alive? The same way you are. Roth stands, moves toward her with the easy grace of someone completely confident in their environment. I wasn't where they expected me to be when the ambush happened. And when I saw the scale of the betrayal, I realized that survival required becoming something else. You became the betrayal, Mara's voice hardens. You became Ghost Trigger. I became the solution. Roth stops an arm's length away. The network existed before me. It will exist after me. The only question was whether someone would control it for destruction or redirect it towards something better. Better? You sold out our team. You got 14 people killed. I saved you. Roth's eyes bore into hers. The termination order was already signed. The ambush was already planned. I had 12 hours, Mara. 12 hours to choose between watching everyone die or saving the one person who mattered. You could have warned us, all of us, and they would have scattered, gone to ground, become targets for a network with resources you cannot imagine. Roth shakes his head. The only way to protect you was to make you dead. Both of us dead. Ghosts who could move freely while the network looked elsewhere. I spent 6 years living as nothing, Mara's voice cracks, sleeping in alleys, eating garbage, watching people look through me like I didn't exist. And you were here the whole time, playing shadow games? I was dismantling the network from within. Roth gestures to the servers. Every operation I've run as Ghost Trigger has been sabotage, false intelligence, misdirection. I've saved more lives than Wraith ever did. By becoming a traitor, by doing what no one else would. Roth steps closer. The system is broken, Mara, corrupt from the inside. The only way to fix it is to burn it down and rebuild. Tonight, I finish what I started. Everything on these servers goes public. Every name, every transaction, every secret that powerful people have killed to protect. People will die, assets in the field, operations in progress. People are already dying. Roth's voice is fierce. Every day this network operates, soldiers walk into ambushes. Agents are compromised. Families receive folded flags. I'm ending that. Tonight. Mara looks at the servers, at the monitors showing countdown timers and data streams, at the man she once loved asking her to help him tear the world apart. No, she says. Roth blinks. No, this isn't justice. This is revenge. Mara's voice steadies. You want to burn everything because you couldn't save everyone. You want to punish the system because the system failed you. But burning it down doesn't fix anything. It just creates more ghosts. Then what do you suggest? More investigations that go nowhere? More tribunals that protect the powerful? More waiting while people die? I suggest we do it right. Mara steps forward. We take the evidence, all of it, and we use it to dismantle the network piece by piece, legally, properly, so that when it's over, something better can take its place. That could take years. Then it takes years. Mara meets his eyes. You taught me that the mission matters more than the individual. That sacrifice is the price of service. Were those just words? Roth is silent for a long moment. Then he laughs. Still the idealist, he says. Still believing the system can be saved. Still believing people can choose better. Mara extends her hand. Come with me, Roth. Help me do this the right way. We can still be on the same side. Roth looks at her hand, looks at the servers, looks at the countdown timer. 4 minutes remaining. I can't, he says quietly. I've come too far, done too much. There's no going back for me. There's always a choice. Not for ghosts. Roth reaches into his jacket. Mara moves. She catches his wrist before the weapon clears the holster. Twists. The gun falls. Roth counters. A strike to her ribs that she barely deflects. A sweep that nearly takes her legs. They clash in the center of the room, surrounded by humming servers and blinking lights. Strike and counter. Block and redirect. Shore starts forward, but Mara shouts, "Stay back! This is mine!" Roth presses the attack. His training is superior, his experience deeper. Every technique she knows, he taught her. But Mara has something he does not. 6 years of survival. 6 years of fighting every day just to exist. 6 years of becoming something harder than steel. She absorbs his strikes, redirects his momentum, waits for the opening she knows will come. It comes. Roth overextends on a cross, leaves his balance compromised for half a heartbeat. Mara takes it. A hip turn sends him stumbling. Her arm wraps around his neck in the exact hold he demonstrated 1,000 times in this very building. "You taught me this," she says through gritted teeth. "On this floor. In this room. You said it was unbreakable." Roth struggles. His hands claw at her arm. "You were my best student," he gasps. "I always knew you'd surpass me. I didn't want to surpass you." Mara tightens her grip. "I wanted to fight beside you. I was always beside you." His voice is fading. "Even from the shadows. Everything I did to protect you. That's not protection. That's control." Mara feels his resistance weakening. You don't get to decide who lives and dies. You don't get to play judge and executioner. Someone has to. No, her voice cracks. No one has to. That's the whole point. Roth's eyes meet hers. For one moment, she sees him clearly. The man beneath the monster. The love beneath the betrayal. "I'm sorry," he whispers, "for everything." His eyes close. His body goes limp. Mara holds him for a moment longer, then releases. Checks his pulse. Steady, unconscious. She stands, looks at the countdown timer. 45 seconds. Shore is already at the terminal, fingers flying across the keyboard. "The encryption is Wraith standard," he says. "I can crack it, but I need time. You have 40 seconds. 30 seconds? 20? Got it." Shore hits a key. The countdown freezes at 8 seconds. Tessa exhales. That was close. Too close. Mara moves to the servers, begins downloading everything to a secure drive. Contact NCIS. Tell Agent Reeves we have Ghost Trigger in custody, and we have enough evidence to bring down the entire network. The next hours blur together. NCIS helicopters arrive. Agents swarm the island. Roth is taken into custody, still unconscious. The servers are seized as evidence. Mercer, already in custody on the mainland, is formally charged with espionage, treason, and conspiracy to commit murder. His protests about connections and influence fall on deaf ears. Agent Reeves finds Mara standing at the edge of the burned compound, staring at the ocean. "Commander Kyle," Reeves stops beside her. "Quite a night. Is it over?" For Mercer and Vale, yes. The evidence is overwhelming. They'll spend the rest of their lives in military prison. Reeves pauses. "The network itself is another matter. You've exposed a major hub, but the infrastructure runs deep. We're looking at years of investigation. And the people they hurt, the operations they compromised, being reviewed, assets are being relocated, families are being notified." Reeves turns to face her. "You did something tonight that entire agencies couldn't accomplish in a decade. That matters." Mara says nothing, keeps staring at the water. "What happens to me?" she asks finally. "That's being discussed, but my recommendation will be full reinstatement and restoration of rank. You've more than earned it." 2 weeks pass. Mara stands at attention in a ceremony room at Coronado Naval Base. Her uniform is clean, pressed, perfect. The insignia of a lieutenant commander gleams on her collar. Admiral Patricia Chen reads from an official document, her voice filling the room. "For exceptional service in the exposure of a foreign intelligence network operating within the United States military, and for personal courage in the face of extreme adversity, Lieutenant Commander Mara Kyle is hereby restored to full active duty status, with all rights and privileges thereto pertaining." Applause fills the room. Shore is there, his face split by a grin. Tessa stands beside him, her own commendation medal shining on her uniform. Mara accepts the handshakes, the photographs, the congratulations, but her mind is elsewhere, on the files they recovered from the island, files that have been partially declassified for the investigation, files that contain one detail no one has explained. Later, in a secure briefing room, Mara sits across from Agent Reeves. "There's something in the Black Rafter archive," Mara says. "A name that was redacted from the version I accessed on the island. Someone else connected to Ghost Trigger." Reeves is silent for a moment. "The investigation is ongoing." "The name, Agent Reeves." Another pause. Then Reeves slides a folder across the table. Mara opens it. Inside is a single page. A personnel record with most of the text blacked out. But one line remains visible. Designation, Ghost Trigger, network status, active. And below it, handwritten, Vale was a node. Primary handler remains unidentified. Mara stares at the words. "Roth wasn't the top," she says slowly. "He was receiving orders from someone else." "That's what the evidence suggests." Reeves's voice is careful. "Vale was running operations, but someone was directing him. Someone we haven't identified." "Where do we start looking?" "That's above my pay grade," Reeves stands. "But if I were you, I'd start with the communications we recovered. There are patterns there, traces that might lead somewhere." Mara nods, closes the folder. A new mission, a new target. The hunt continues. That evening, Mara returns to the base, walks through corridors that still feel foreign, despite being technically home. She finds the memorial wall. 14 names carved in stone. Her team, her family, her ghosts. She traces each letter with her fingertips. "I kept my promise," she whispers. "Mercer is done. Roth is done. But someone else is still out there. Someone who gave the orders." She pauses. "I'm not finished yet." Footsteps behind her. Tessa approaches, stops at attention. "Commander Kyle?" Her voice is formal, respectful. "Welcome back." Mara turns, sees Shore standing behind Tessa, a slight smile on his face. "The commander needs a team," Shore says. "If she's planning what I think she's planning." "And what do you think I'm planning?" "Hunting." Shore's smile fades into something harder. "Finding whoever was pulling Vale's strings. Finishing what Wraith started." Mara considers, looks at these two people who believed her when no one else would, who fought beside her when it mattered. "It won't be easy," she says. "Whoever's behind this has been hiding for years. They have resources, connections, protection." "So do we." Tessa's voice is steady. "We have you." Mara almost smiles. "Then we start tomorrow, review everything we recovered, find the patterns, follow the trails." She looks back at the memorial wall one final time. Shore moves beside her, speaks quietly. "You know what the others are saying? The ones who watched you get arrested, watched you fight your way back?" "What?" Shore's voice carries a weight of respect that cannot be faked. "They're saying the woman we called homeless was the only one brave enough to stand against the whole system." Mara absorbs the words, does not respond. Behind them, the sun sets over Coronado, orange and red painting the sky like fire. Tessa checks her phone, frowns. "Commander, you should see this." She holds out the device. On the screen is an encrypted message, no sender identification, no traceable origin. 4 words. "Tower 4 sends regards." Mara stares at the message. "What does it mean?" Shore asks. "I don't know." Mara takes the phone, studies the encryption. "But I intend to find out." She looks up, meets Shore's eyes, then Tessa's. "Get some rest, both of you. Tomorrow we start hunting." "And tonight?" Tessa asks. Mara looks out at the darkening sky, at the ocean that has witnessed everything, at the world that still holds secrets she has sworn to uncover. "Tonight we rest." Her voice is quiet but certain. "Tomorrow we hunt." She walks away, into the gathering darkness, into a future that holds more shadows than light, but also holds justice, waiting to be claimed. Behind her, the names on the memorial wall catch the last rays of sunlight. 14 silent witnesses to a promise made and kept. Ahead, somewhere in the darkness, Tower 4 waits, and Mara Kale, the woman they called homeless, the ghost who refused to stay dead, walks forward to meet it.
Every soldier carries a story that few ever hear. Listen with your heart. Thank you for staying and watching. Subscribe to MVB Story for more.